Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're gonna work with an orchid that I didn't have in a long time, and this is because I don't do very well with this type of orchid. It's gonna become pretty obvious why, but this is a Phragmipedium orchid, which is a type of a slipper orchid. This is the Memoria Dick Clemens. You know me, I like red, and this one looks amazing. But if you think this is just another Paphiopedilum type orchid, no, actually. Paphs are doing great in this environment. They can forgive my inability to water on time sometimes, but these guys don't. Actually, Phragmipediums are notorious for being kept with their roots in water in a way or another, because some of these guys actually grow naturally on rocks that constantly have water running on them. So pretty much they don't like to dry out. It's pretty obvious why I don't do great with them, right? Well, today I decided to give it one more time with a super special setup in mind, which I think I'm gonna name this video with a double or super self-watering setup. If you wanna learn more about what I'm talking about, stay tuned, and don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it. Also subscribe because it's free and I post multiple times a week all sorts of plant content, and not only actually. But if you're feeling extra about it, you can further support the channel by becoming a member using the affiliate links down below in the description, getting some merch, or using the super thanks option that I have down below my videos. I'm thinking to make actually a super thanks section of shorts, maybe on this channel, maybe on the other channel, in which I actually reply to questions in a very short manner. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, with that said, let me show you what the super self-watering setup is. First off, this should tell you something if you've been growing orchids for a while. This is a semi-hydroponics pot with no drainage holes, but some drainage on the side, only a few. This is to create a reservoir at the bottom, which will help the orchid stay hydrated for longer. Now, semi-hydroponics is a very, very notorious setup for Phragmipediums, and actually many people use it, of course together with leca. Or at the time when I researched Phragmipediums a while back, a few years ago, this was the #1 setup people were going for. Sadly, as some of you might know, my experience with semi-hydro and leca, which spans over the course of a few years, is not that great. Turns out, this is not enough for my environment. It just dries too fast. So, going back to just plain semi-hydro will not do it. Hence why the super self-watering setup. Because I'm gonna pair it with this. Why not let something like this water my pot? If you missed the video, if you don't know what this is, it is the 3D Pink self-watering system. I'll link it to it down below in the description. By the way, some of you told me that you already placed orders following my video. Let me know how that went. Did you get your order? Are you happy with it? I'm curious to know your experience with it because I'm still very happy with this product. Also, Liv, if you're watching, let me know how things are doing. We actually didn't talk much ever since that video. So what this thing does is it automatically waters your orchid. It soaks it pretty much every 3 to 12 days, depending how you set it, because you can set it with a little mechanism in the back. So picture this. I have a reservoir which always keeps water here. Plus, I'm not gonna be watering myself at the sink. What is this? This is 2022. I'm kidding. I really sometimes don't have time and the mood to do this watering. So I'm gonna let the system water the pot for me. Sounds good on paper. Let's see if I can grow Phragmipediums this time, shall we? And I'll show you what I believe to be the second most notorious setup for the Phragmipediums. The second most notorious setup for this orchid is rock wool, believe it or not, or mineral wool. Now, I have an issue with this, obviously, or for obvious reasons. I'm not using diatomaceous earth. Why would I want rock wool? Just being in the air. No, seriously though, I think it's pretty safe if you just keep it here and you keep it wet, but working with it, it's a little bit weird. So, this Phragmipedium, as I see, is potted in rock wool. Rock wool is a mineral medium which doesn't break down, which is good for Phragmipediums. It also retains water. It does tend to layer. I did some experiments way back with rock wool as well. I didn't like how it behaved. I also don't like working with it, so I'm going to unpot this orchid from the rock wool, and also I see some sphagnum moss here. But you know what? The rock wool is not wet enough. It isn't, so I'm gonna get a mask. Add to the plethora of issues that I have, right? Can't I just wet thoroughly the Rockwool? Yes, of course I can, but then it will be messy. And plus, it's not dry, it's just moist and not soaking wet. Ooh, I have a lot of dead roots, I see. And the smell is not good. Oh, there we go, cyano, that's why it's not good. I've had this orchid for a little bit, for 2 months or so. One thing with Phragmipediums that I've never liked is the fact that they have super sensitive roots. They just break if you stare at them a little weirdly. So actually an inorganic setup is pretty ideal as well for me. If it would work, if it would stay wet in this environment long enough for me to water in time, but no, it does not. All right, so actually I think I'm gonna finish this at the sink. There are some pieces in the root ball that I think I need to soak a little more. So I'll clean up my tray here and I'll come back with the new setup. Alrighty, so I completely cleaned the root system and removed all of the dead roots. With these guys, it's pretty hard to tell which root is dead, which is alive, judging by the color, because the roots are brown, so you kind of just have to press a little bit on them. So we do have a few roots, which is quite okay for a Phragmipedium. Let us now pot it. This will make a lot of noise. The leca usually sounds awful on the microphone, so I'll try to speak when I'm not playing with leca, and I'll just reduce the volume on this video while the sound is happening. What applies to Paphiopedilums applies to Phragmipediums as well. They don't create aerial roots if the humidity is not like 100%. So you want to put all of the roots inside the medium, whatever that medium might be. So I put a few beads of slow release fertilizer. It is not ideal to use it with leca because leca doesn't really sit moist like a soil or sphagnum moss would, but it's still something since I don't actually want to water this orchid myself. And also I will be using only reverse osmosis water with this orchid. Phragmipediums, as far as other people say, who probably have more experience than me, they really don't like tap water all that much, especially if it's very hard, such as my water, and especially if it has additives, such as fluoride, which in some parts of the world, it's a custom thing to add in tap water. So distilled water or reverse osmosis water is the way to go, apparently, with Phragmipediums, and that's what I'm gonna do. Problem is, it is soft. It does not have any trace mineral, not even magnesium, not even calcium. So only using reverse osmosis water is going to deplete any orchid sooner or later. So we need to add fertilizer somehow. So I'm going to try to bring the level a little further up to cover the base of these rosettes, let's call them like that, so that any new root that wants to sprout, it will not start to sprout in the air because it's just not going to develop. Alrighty, we are pretty much done. So let's just set up the system. So I'm gonna fill up the system with reverse osmosis water as much as possible, almost up to here. Oh, need a bigger watering can. And for this orchid, I'm going to be using the lid like this with the flat end or side on top. So not with this one because we already have a reservoir and I want the pot to be stable. There we go. We're going to place the pot inside, which is a perfect fit. I took measurements when I bought the pot. Let's get rid of this. And by the way, self-watering is typically done in transparent pots. It's fun to see the roots, it's fun to watch the water level in the reservoir, and it's a visual cue for you to water if you would water it yourself. But as my experience tells me, it is also the perfect place for algae and cyanobacteria to form. I don't want it. So that's why I'm using an opaque pot, furthermore, a dark colored pot. I don't necessarily need to see the reservoir because this orchid needs to be wet anyway. So even if there's still a little bit of water in the reservoir, I don't care, I can water. So now let's give it a first watering and see if leca flows everywhere. 5. I did test it earlier and it didn't float everywhere, so that's okay, that's good. I'll see if I need to raise the sensor here because I don't think we're gonna water all the way to the top. Yeah, it's not going all the way to the top. I'm gonna raise a little the sensor just so the level is pushed a little bit further up. And that works, I think. Let's see, let's go with it a little further up. Okay, that's better. It actually pushes the water all the way to the base of the plant, so that's the way to go. So even if we don't have drainage, we still do get a proper soak of this pot, which is great. It was my concern because maybe I was thinking the water level would rise too fast for the pot to have time to actually, get wet inside and everything would fall out of the system, but it doesn't. I did place 2 sets of holes, so 2 on one side, 2 on the other. If you go back to my old videos with semi-hydro, this is how I did it on that time as well. There is a purpose to it, but you don't want too many holes because that would make water evaporate too fast and it would, leca would not actually drag the water up. It would just evaporate through those holes, So the less holes, the better. In this setup, I do believe the holes are necessary because I don't think the pot would get full of water in time as the water level increases and it would just spill all over. So the watering cycle is done. All of the water is pouring out. And of course, as expected, the pot will not completely drain. It will retain some water in that reservoir. Let me show you. See, I have water in this reservoir. So what I'm gonna do now is set it to water every, how many days? I think I will set it every 3 days because it's summer and I do have the experience of the other orchid that I potted in a normal pot. At the end of the 3 days, it is bone dry. When it's gonna grow up, it's not gonna be nice because it's a catasetum. So that one I will put in this type of a self-watering pot as well. So I'm going to set this one to get watered every 3 days. Even if there's water in that reservoir, I don't care. It's a Phragmipedium. So to do that, I need to keep this pressed for 35 seconds. And anyway, in time, I will alter the schedule. Probably in winter time, I'll let it water every 5 days or so because it's just not needed. We'll see about it. Since it's a Phragmipedium, I'm not so concerned. It should be wet most of the times rather than dry. If it were a Cattleya, obviously, I would consider a little bit more this aspect. But yeah, with Phragmipediums, I'm just going for full moisture. Okay, so now every 3 days, this pot will get watered. Let's also make a little tag because we added slow release fertilizer. Now, let me tell you a few things about the slow release fertilizer, which you can find listed down below in the description if you want to know what it is. And all of my videos, the recent ones in which I use this type of fertilizer, I mention what it is. So since that bad experience with that fertilizer many years ago, and the company telling me, well, you should always prepare a fresh batch of fertilizer, not just let it sit in the water because, that's not cool. I'm a little keen on not letting water-soluble fertilizer be in water for a long time because that can degrade it. If I am to go with what that company says, Obviously, the MSU is a different company or whatever other fertilizer, but that created a bad memory in my mind that I cannot shake off. So I don't want to pre-prepare fertilizer. I don't want to let it sit in water for months and let the plant utilize it because there is indeed a chance, and some of you who are chemists might agree, and let me know if it is true, that some of those substances can break down, degrade, and not be so available for the plant anymore. So in time, I can create deficiencies. Now, slow release fertilizers are especially created to be released in time, and they're especially created to sit in that moist environment for 9 months or whatever. So the chances of the nutrients breaking down, in my mind, are not as great. So hence why I don't want to use water-soluble fertilizers with this setup, but rather the slow-release fertilizer. So yeah, that's what my logic tells me. Okay, we are done here. Let's put the little tag because the slow-release fertilizer needs to be refreshed once a year or so for orchids. Maybe for other plants that are heavier feeders, maybe more often, but for orchids, I think every year is okay. And next year, I'm just gonna wiggle some slow release beads inside the pot. Righty, so I shall keep you up to date with this experiment, more frequent, tiny updates on my shorts channel. If you don't know it, check it out, it's Missorchidgirl Shorts at the moment. I might change the name because I post all sorts of fun stuff there. Short form content, but not shorts necessarily. So for now it is shorts. In the future, if you're watching this video, maybe it's something else. Just check the description, I linked it there. So I'll make sure to post some more updates as we go, and a bigger update at some point on this channel. But for now, we are pretty much done. I will place this orchid in one of my cabinets because I don't want to deal with pests on it, although until now, it doesn't really seem to be a magnet. Actually, I decided to keep it on this shelf, which I added the very, very thin LED strip grow lights. And I decided to put it here because my cabinets are a little occupied at the moment. This thing is very, very heavy. It's not gonna sit on glass, and also it's pretty tall. So I need a tall shelf. So now it's sitting with the little kitties here. The kitties are okay. They're not pest magnets, so that's good. So yeah, never mind the cabinet idea. Also, as I'm gonna say in this video, this is not a pest magnet, so that's good. And we'll see how the setup goes. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember, in the description you have further links to this product, to semi-hydroponics, to, I don't know, whatever I talked about in this video. Just check it out. And I always list the products that I currently use down below if you scroll down at the bottom of the description, okay? So that's it. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. If you want to follow me on social media, search for me. I'm at Missorchidgirl pretty much everywhere. Check out my shorts channel for short form content. But most importantly, subscribe to this channel because this is where I post the good stuff. So that's it. I'll see you next time. Bye.